season 7,
Yeah.
episode 1, we jump right into it. It is explosive right away. So I want to know for both of you, can you talk about the mindset of this season that your characters are in?
Ooh,
I'll let you
you,
go, Hannah.
um, mm, for Tiff, it was a lot because
Mhm,
you do got this, she's dealing with grief.
mhm,
So I'm sure she's a little flustered. She got that going on. Also, you saw episode 1, the ending of episode 1. She has another baggage on to layer that grief. So that shifts her mindset to like, knowing that she doesn't have that father anymore. Now she has to step in or find another way to really like step up for this child and just even, making the decision because we've already explored Tiff with dealing with abortion, just like
mhm.
re approaching this similar situation of pregnancy and how she's going to deal with it this time with these new circumstances. And then you said you got to episode 2 too, so she has another layer where she's faced with some more responsibility and baggage. So her mindset was a little bit everywhere. I think having all that happen at once, it kind of overloads you, and you got to kind of figure out how you're going to rebalance your life.
Mhm.
So that was like my focus of really implementing that, like making sure we're showing that layer of vulnerability, but also trying to balance it out with her having to take on these new responsibilities and step up to the plate and do something that is out of the ordinary for her. Like she won't be able to handle things with a partner or with the help that she would like. So yeah, her mindset was a little bit of everywhere, but just kind of taking in all of those things and trying to approach it with the right decisions.
Mhm. For you, Jason?
No, I think overall, just to kind of give just a broad overview of I think of what Shad is going through this season from the first episode to the very last is just I think he's just struggling throughout the season of understanding the power dynamic between him and Lynn Whitfield's character Alicia and still trying to like chart his own course. I think one of the interesting things about Shad's character is that it's been kind of like an up and down um kind of motion with him finding himself and um you know r- readjusting, if you will, to society after being in prison for so long. And
Right.
so I think what's going to be interesting for the audience to see is that all the while he's growing um under Alicia's umbrella, there's still parts of him that I think are kind of remaining stagnant because he's just not, I don't know, really respecting the power dynamic of the relationship. I think a lot of his kind of male ego kind of gets in the way to some degree,
Mhm.
um, as it usually does with Shad. But I think it'll just be interesting for the audience to continue to see him, grow with that. Some of the decisions that he ultimately makes, um, Alicia's approach to the decisions that he makes. So I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I just think, again, people are just going to get a chance to see Shad continue to just try to grow and find his own way, in this world. Absolutely.
Right. Alicia seems to be the common denominator with both of the characters. And so I wanted to start with Jason with what's going on as we know that Nuck and Alicia are going to war.
Right.
What I wanted to know is, do you feel that Shad is at that point where he feels that he can protect her? Does he even want to protect her?
Oh, yeah. I mean, regardless of how conflicted Shad may feel as far as their personal and professional relationship, um, he does recognize that this woman is helping him to grow up and mature and become his own man. It's just he's still not comfortable in his own skin to accept the fact, you know what I'm saying, that this woman is really kind of showing him the way. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's I think that's what really leaves him conflicted deep down inside. But as far as his loyalty and what he stands for, like that's one of the things that I really love about Shad as a character is that if he's down for you, he is down for you. And he'll drop whatever he's doing to be there at any given time to assist you or to help you out of a situation. So when it comes to Alicia, like, no, the loyalty is there. And I don't think he's ever one of those kind of guys or characters to display to the outside world that there's a problem going on because of his loyalty that he has, to this woman or the people that he feels are really like going to bat for him. So, as far as he's concerned with going to war and standing in solidarity with her, like, no, I don't think he has any issues with that at all. And he's definitely not gonna let outsiders know, what I'm saying, that he has any issues. I mean, as people will see in the show, like, they kind of make a blood oath together, so to speak. So you really have to, when you make that kind of oath with one another or that level of commitment towards one another, you just can't like easily turn your back on that person and play it off like you don't care. So now Shad is like he's 10 toes down, but again, I think he as just a man, as a man coming out of prison and still trying to find himself, I think that's what kind of keeps him conflicted internally. But definitely something that he won't show to outsiders at all.
So then with Hannah, with Tiff, what's going on with Alicia is, without spoiling anything, but she can become very overbearing. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but overbearing, especially there was the conversation that was had during a breakfast table and chips. Um, what I wanted to know is she talked a lot about what she wants you to do, as opposed to you saying what you want to do for yourself. Do you feel that she is being treated as if she's more of here's a property instead of someone who is her own person?
I do. I think Alicia, that's just the dynamic of her relationships. She
Mm-hmm.
wants to be that person that seemingly controls what they're doing. If you look at all of her relationships, it's just that power element between it. So I think she's just doing the same thing with Tiff, where she's trying to dictate and control. And she offers, obviously Tiff is with her now under her wing. So even under that, like I think that's I was going to say Lynn, not Lynn. But that's her setup. That's what she does. She, takes you under, makes sure she has something to kind of manipulate and impose that power and then try to control. Like her character typically wants to have the central control of someone else. So yes, I do think it's like a sense of property, or I have the power, I have the more than.
Right. So for Jason, do you feel that Shad has any lingering regrets, especially with how things ended with Deja?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I think he definitely has some regrets, but the one thing about Shad is that he's not going to lay in that for too long. Um, I think because he recognizes the uncertainty as it relates to life, some of the things that he's dealt with throughout the course of his life, I think he recognized that each day is like a blessing. And so you can't like wallow in sorrow for too long because you never know when the trip is going to end at any given day. So he'll allow it. Um, he'll allow himself to feel certain things, but I think he just has this way of going into survival mode because I think he even in one episode, it was like last season, or it could have been this season, and they asked him about a relationship that he had, and he said, my dad always told me how you get over one woman is to get up under another one. And so that's just that's his mentality. But I do think it's a defense mechanism. And again, a little bit of his male ego coming to the forefront more than anything, because at his core, at his base, Shad is a very sensitive guy. He's a very loving and caring and to some degree compassionate kind of guy. But it's just that the circumstances of his life have placed him in a position where he has to present kind of like this hard and exterior, and he's become kind of conditioned, in that way of operating and behaving, even when dealing with relationships with women. But I think that one of the many beautiful things that the writers have been able to do successfully in this show, and particularly with this character, is to show that vulnerability and that heart, while also showing him reverting back to these kind of machismo, defense mechanism modes where he can kind of be stubborn or hard-headed or just plain stupid at times. But again, I think that's one of the things that keeps the audience intrigued with his particular character, as well as the other characters on this show. They, their personalities, they have a wide range of things that they feel and that they go through and that they express, and that's like any other human being. And I think that's what the audience kind of gravitates and latches on to, is how these characters really like kind of authentically react to things. You know what I mean? Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes, 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 completely.
Cool.
So for you, Hannaha, is that pronouncing that right? I pronounced that
Yes,
right.
yes, you
Okay.
are. It's
Yes.
Hannah. It's
Okay.
just an extra A.
I
Yeah.
want I want to talk about Emmett for a minute. Emmett is having the baby with Keisha. I'm wondering, is there any kind of jealousy there? Because that was your ex, and now they're a couple together. It also on top of what happened with Rob. So, is there any kind of jealousy or animosity or feeling towards that?
No, Tiff is in her own world. She's happy and she's content with Rob. I mean, moving forward, there may be, some feelings that maybe come to surface that correlates around that topic. But Tiff is happy and she's moved on. She's in a good, healthy relationship, co-parenting relationship with Emmett, and Keisha is her friend. So that's kind of where they stand with that. But again, they do have history, and I think that's always going to be like just an underlining feeling between them. But as for them actually pursuing a romantic relationship again, I doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Right. So for Jason,
Mm.
Shaad is a reformed convict. And so
Mhm.
I was wondering the lessons that he learned while in prison, do you feel that he can apply to season 7 and how he moves and operates, not even just with Alicia, but with himself?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that he can take from his prison experience that can serve to benefit him with working for Alicia is his survival instincts. Um, because that's essentially what he is. He- they have a personal relationship, but he is her bodyguard. He's one of her security guys. And so, him having to be on point, him having to have his spidey senses always going, to know when there's, maybe danger around the corner, his ability to react promptly to that. I think all of those things that he probably experienced in prison have helped to serve him in this capacity where he's working for her. And I think that's something that she recognizes in him as well, is that he has that kind of that that ability to go there. But at the same time, I think she also sees more in him, probably more than what he can see in himself. And
Mhm.
I think that's another thing that he kind of struggles with it, and the reason why his male ego from time to time will come to the forefront is because I don't think he can see at times that she's genuinely trying to help him really become a better man. I don't think it's necessarily something where she's trying to keep her foot on his neck. And I think sometimes he can feel like that, like the overbearing. Alicia is just that kind of personality anyway. She's a boss. She's a queen.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And you have to kiss the ring. You have to bow down. But there are some people that understand that and get that, and then there are some people who don't. And I
Right.
think that's something that with Shad, like he throughout the course of this season kind of just struggles with. Again, I think he's very loyal. I think he recognizes how blessed and fortunate he is to be in the situation that he's in, but it's just coming with conditions that he's not prepared to deal with internally as a man. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yes, it does. So then lastly, for both of you, what do you want for your characters? Not necessarily in this season or previously, future. What do you want for them in the future or even now?
Anna?
You had to make me go first.
That happens.
I want a lot for Tiffany, but I'm a wrap it up and say territory. I think she's been working hard for a lot of territory when it comes to her business, when it comes to stability with her home. If we really look at it, Tiff has never had her own home. She's always been living with others.
Mm.
So just that territory and that stability that comes with it, so that she can move forward in what she wants to do versus having to reach out and get help from this person or having to lean on this person for this, but like her own territory, her own thing, her own business, her own home, her own sense of balance in her life.
Okay.
No, I think with Sean, I'm gonna have to agree with Hannah. The same thing as she wants for Tiff. I want the same thing for Sean. It's really just stability for him to
Mhm.
be able to like really firmly plant his feet on the ground and be able to establish himself with a level of confidence within himself and not feeling like there always has to be a woman, so to speak, that he has to lean on, in order to get to the next step. I would like for his character to get to a point where he begins to really depend on himself more and come
Mhm.
to an understanding with dealing with a woman, that it should be a partnership where, yeah, she pours into you, but you also pour into her. It's not like a thing where, you always have to lean on her to do something or she feels led to do things for you because he's not equipped to handle it or deal with it. So I just want to see Shad kind of mature more um in that regard. But overall, like I said, I love his heart, I love his spirit, and I want that to be able to, for us to be able to explore that more and show that more.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for speaking to me so
Thank you,
much today.
Thank
Dana.
you.
Lovely
Thank you
season.
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
Dana.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.